Welcome back. You're with us on The Final Word, and we're starting off a new series this week where every Thursday we take a closer look at the online market and businesses that are really buzzing in the space. To kickstart the series, we have joining us tonight Anupam Mittal, CEO at Shaadi.com, a pioneer in the online market here in India. Before we chat to Anupam though, let's take a look at how this particular segment of the market has boomed over the last decade. Like every other service, matrimonial sites are a huge hit among users. The first to enter the market in '96, Shaadi.com is today the world's largest matrimonial site. Over 20 million couples have come together thanks to it, and their success story has lured many others to enter the market. Today, matrimonial sites are by the dozen. From Vivaah.com to Bharat Matrimony, everyone wants a part of the pie. The simplicity and convenience of looking for a soulmate on the internet has become a norm today. Indian marriage requirements in many cases is specific in religion, caste, language and location, and the internet is the easiest way to find the perfect match. So much so that even pets are not spared. We even have sites like petmatrimony.com and candyromeo.com that help pet owners find suitable matches for their cats and dogs. In an ever-growing online market, we find out from Shaadi.com how 15 years later, they're still keeping up with the growing competition. All right, let me welcome in Anupam. Thanks so much for being with us, Anupam.
Thank you for having me.
Well, 15 years and you've now become the largest matrimonial site in the world.
Yeah.
How is the growth picture in particular in the Indian market? How is it looking now? What's different today than when you first started off?
Well, it's been quite a journey. I mean, 15 years back, the internet was just beginning. So I think it's been tremendous in terms of the changes. If you look at the internet ecosystem as a whole, and if you look at India particularly, what's happened now is while the growth is there, the usage is increasing. You've got 65-70 million active internet users. The real story is that more and more people are now transacting. Okay. These people have come online in the last 3-4 years, and so now you've got about 15 to 20 million people online in India who are actually transacting. And that really lends to the e-commerce boom that you're currently seeing, and we all talk about $10-15 billion. It's about probably about $10 billion in terms of market size. So I think that's changed dramatically.
Yeah. So is that also across all verticals? Because while Shaadi.com is of course your anchor product, you've also dabbled in other verticals. You have other portals as well. Are you seeing the same kind of interest, the same kind of growth there too?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at the kind of businesses we're in, we're primarily into vertical search, or what you call classifieds. That's Shaadi.com, Makaan.com for property search. And these categories comprise, if you just look at it from a revenue terms, it's probably 1,000 crore category today when you look at vertical search and classifieds on the internet in India.
Right.
But the beauty of these businesses is that they contribute they have 70% gross margins, and so if you look at it from a gross margin perspective, we're probably 30% of the pie in terms of total internet market size.
Wow, and that model is sustaining itself at this point of time.
Yes, by the nature of these businesses, we don't have product costs, right? We don't have to buy a book before we sell it. It's a service. Once we've built our product, and of course it involves a lot, it's very complex to build the kind of products that we've built because we're primarily trying to change lives, but then the incremental cost is very low, and so we enjoy such great gross margins. And when you look at businesses such as ours, the multiples are dramatically different than when you look at e-commerce businesses, and that's because we enjoy these sort of margins.
So what's the kind of potential you see in the space right now?
Well, when it comes to matrimonial specifically, when it comes to Shaadi.com, and I was telling you this earlier, we're not in the business of giving you a comparison for the lowest cost. We are in the business in a way of delivering happiness, right? We're trying to change lives, or such is the promise. And if you look at a country like India, and we've been working on this problem for the last 15 years, it's a huge problem because of several reasons. One is, dating is still frowned upon. Your traditional joint families are breaking, so the traditional matchmaker doesn't really work. Workplace ratios when it comes to gender are pretty lopsided. And since you're a kid in this country, you're constantly obsessed, or your family's obsessed about getting you married. So you've got this obsession with marriage, but very limited opportunity to meet potential life partners.
Right.
And so it's a very large problem that we are trying to solve. But the bigger problem is that when you buy a car, you specify what you want. It's a very logical decision. When you get what you want, you buy it. Here, you might be very logical in trying to define your ideal life partner,
right.
but when it comes to making that decision, you're actually thinking from your heart. So, for us, it's a huge technological challenge, but at the same time, it's the first time I think that technology can address many of these issues that were not able to be addressed earlier.
Okay.
If you look at the size of the market, and I think that was more specifically your question, today, it's a very unorganized industry because, as I said, you're trying to solve matters of the heart and brain together. And so I think it's probably about $1 billion today in a very unorganized manner. It has the potential, once it's organized, to be 3 or 4 times that every year.
Right.
I think that's the big sort of vision over the next 10, 15 years of the second half of our story.
Okay, and also given the current sort of changing market dynamics with the advent of social media, with a lot of people also now moving to doing this, on their mobile phones and being active and connecting through that way and with apps and so forth. Are you also exploring those options in a way to sort of build a brand or move into different areas?
Yeah, the apps, we have to.
Yeah.
We don't really have a choice. We have to go where our consumers are. And, I keep going back to the core of what we are doing, which is, this whole trying to change lives and bringing two people together. And so that involves a lot of work. It's not as simple as, okay, I have my product on the internet, and if you like it, come there and use it.
You have to build the trust.
We have to build the trust. We have to reach out to people in a physical manner. We've got about today, if you look at our network, we've got about 100 Shadi centers across the country. Parents actually walk in to find life partners for their children. And then if you look at sort of what else we do as part of matchmaking is communication between two people. And as you know, mobile phones and communication on the go is what we all do today. Yeah. So we cannot not be available on mobile phones or mediums that people are using.
But I mean, second leg of Shadi.com, 3 to 4 billion perhaps in a few years' time, and for the market as a whole, that's a tremendous opportunity. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again. Anupam, thank you so much for joining us.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's take another very quick break.